So we're going to mount this. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use the spacer. This is that little piece that came here that was unknown. We're going to have to actually put this in here, and then we're going to have to mount this to the back of the unit. Now the switch, where the actual switch is located, which is the part you touch to turn on and off, is going to be facing upwards. It has to be facing downwards. The reason why is because all the cabling is up here, and the cabling is on the bottom of the switch. So we need to mount it from the bottom. So what we're first going to do is we're just going to feed this through on this spacer, like so. And then we're going to go ahead and take some screws, and we're going to feed it through here. Let's take that out and actually follow the instructions exactly. It says to pre-thread it just slightly. I can see why these holes are a little bit smaller. Okay. So that's one. And that's two. Now pre-threading means just put it on a little bit so it's like so. Nothing fancy, just make sure that it's on right. Next step is we're going to go ahead and feed this through. Doesn't matter what side, because it looks like both sides are identical. And you just want to line it up with the holes that are already there. And then this part you're going to go ahead and start screwing it in. Now just enough so that the screw sits in place. Now what I like to do is just screw it in enough so that I know it's sitting right. And sure enough, it went into the hole correctly. Because the reason why you don't want to screw it in all the way is because this is actually going to screw it into the base. So I can screw that one all the way, make sure that the holes are lined up. And I check to make sure that while I was screwing it in, it's going through the spacers. Sure enough it is. I can see the screws coming through. So now I'm going to take the base. I'm going to feed this through like so. Okay. Make sure all holes are lined up. Make sure. Now notice which gets mounted. Two holes in the actual separator here. And
so at this point we're ready to screw this in. And again, just double check it. Once you feel it getting tight, then you know it's screwed in enough. Don't tighten it too much. There we go. So we've now mounted this. The switch is firmly placed on there, as you can see, and you see all the wires sticking out the top. And we have the switch on the bottom, just like so. Okay. So that completes step 7. Moving on, we're going to go to step 8, which basically means we're going to install the tail spring. Tail spring is this little spring that's hanging out. That gets installed on the back, and it's going to be facing upwards like so. On this, if we flip this upside down, this will be up like that. This is basically going to give support for the back. So let me just kind of put that here, and let's see. They're screwing that on the outermost hole. So I'm going to just thread a screw through here. Kind of set this in place for a bit. Give it a no. Let's go ahead and just do this with this. And there you go. I have pre-threaded it, and now I'm going to screw it in a little bit tighter as I start getting closer. And this starts getting better. Oh, put it too tight there. Face that backwards like so, and give it a good turn. Remember, you don't want to tighten it too much, but you want to tighten it enough so that it doesn't loose. This is the type of piece that you know from experience will give you. So there you have it. And that gives you a rear support. As you can see, now it makes this thing move around a lot easier.
while 4 actually hit battery was going down. Now it's not. So step 8 is complete. The tail spring is in place and it looks good. Now moving on, step 9. Now step 9 is going to be the place that you're going to need to be careful with. Step 9, we're actually going to be plugging in all the main wires. There is a good diagram here that shows you how to do it. I would recommend you take your time doing this. We're going to take that time right now and do it step by step. So let's see what we have to do here. So we're going to be taking wires and connecting them together. We're going to have to connect some switches. So we're taking C here. So one of the first things we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in the cables for the antenna. The antenna switches with these in the front. Oops. Okay. Another place is there for us. We're just taking a quick. Okay, so you have these 2 yellow cables here. Those are going to be pointing backwards. The red cables will be pointing forwards. And we're going to go ahead and plug those in. Now we're following the diagram here. Now when you're plugging these in, take your time, do not rush this. These are delicate pieces and they could break easily. You don't want them breaking on you because then it renders your entire kit useless. So there you have it. That's step 1. Let's see here. Now what we're going to be doing is, looks like we'll be plugging in some power. So there are 2 cables, 2 long cables, a red and a black, that come out in these power switches in the front, or these antenna switches, and they're going to get plugged into the battery pack. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow the diagram here. Now it's a little hard to see, but from what we can determine, the black wire gets plugged in on its side and the red wire gets plugged in on its side to the battery pack. Like so. These are the 2 that we've plugged in. Okay. Now, what else is here? So the motors have an orange and a white cable and a black cable. So this one's white and black, this one's orange and black. Now looking at this diagram, it looks like one of the motors has to get plugged, one of the wires has to get plugged into the switch in the front from each motor, and one of the wires has to get plugged into the switch in the back. Now from what I see here, there's 2 blue wires in the switch. Those are going to be plugged into the center right here. So we'll go ahead and plug those in first. Oops, and one of ours popped out here.
Then we have the yellow cables, which are these left, and we have 4 cables here, and we have these 2 yellow cables here. Pardon us here while we take a look to see exactly how this is going to be plugged in.
Okay, so from this image it looks like
The yellow is going to get plugged in, so the black and the yellow on this one here, on the motor we're plugging into, it's the switch in the front. So what we've done is we've plugged in the yellow to the black here, and we're going to use this white and plug it into one of these over in the back. Okay, and we're going to follow the same approach. It's just a little hard from the diagram to see here. Okay, we're going to take the orange one on the other motor and we're going to plug it into the yellow in the front. Now there's 3 pictures on step 9. I just noticed that if you look at the bottom left picture, that's probably the better one to look at. Regardless of colors, it shows you how to wire it correctly. So what we did is we plugged in on our left side of we have orange and black. The orange plugged into yellow, cable coming out of the front switch. And on this side we have a black and white, and the black one on this one over here gets connected to the yellow, whereas the white one is connected to yellow on the switch, and the black left hand side to the switch. Now these 2 cables from the front, you have a red and you have a black, those get connected to the outer side, one here and one here.
And these 2 blue cables that come straight from the switch, those get connected to the center 2 plugs. Doesn't matter which way you do it, you just plug them in. And that completes step 9. Now, moving on, step 10.
Step 10 is the initial testing. So we're going to stop, take a quick, and we're going to show to the test is good. We're going to carry